I'm going to talk about weapons and warfare now. Every weapon in Faithfront, they will look like futuristic guns or modern guns, like guns that we see today, and they represent spiritual influence. There are 7 different legions of faithlets that will represent the 7 virtues and will use weapons that operate in the opposite way of their corresponding sin. So for each of the 7 deadly sins, there are their opposite corresponding virtues. This is all based off of this video that I found right here. So humility is the opposite of pride, building only structures that are needed and take up a generous amount of space. The buildings look humble and their importance is not exaggerated. Weapons are small and uncomplicated. So these weapon descriptions, they're going to be vague because different planets will use guns that look different. Gratitude, the opposite of envy, focuses on what they already have and they don't waste resources on copying others. Guns or weapons, for gratitude, guns and weapons will look more original and their originality can seem a little alien to others. Patience, which is the opposite of wrath. The soul has faith in God and they won't have to teach violently, but put it in God's hands and trust that in due time God will enact perfect justice. These faithlets use sniper rifles to fight from afar, not to avoid danger but to symbolize patience. Diligence, opposite of laziness. The soul works to improve itself, not to be perfect, but to simply enact God's will. These faithlets will use guns that are medium-ranged to symbolize facing conflict. Generosity, opposite of greed. The soul shares its abundance of resources to help other souls. The weapons that they use have smaller ammo capacity, but they carry extra ammo to give away because they focus more on supporting other faithlets. Chastity, opposite of lust. The soul avoids overindulgence in the perversion of love. The user manually feeds ammunition into its chamber to symbolize self-control. And temperance, it is opposite of gluttony and similar to chastity. The soul also avoids overindulgence. Overindulgence, I guess, other than the perversion of love. Again, the user manually feeds ammo into the chamber to symbolize self-control. Satan's legions will use weapons that reflect which legion they come from. For pride, so prideful people will build high and big structures that look important, but serve only to look good. These big structures can look unnerving, especially on the inside where there are empty hallways leading into empty rooms that serve no purpose. Creating these structures creates a lot of pollution, which disrupts ecosystems. So this type will use weapons that look very complicated and intimidating, but their firepower is very low and are more short range. I got inspiration, so this video right here.
This guy comes in and picks on the smallest dude in the gym. That's hanging out. Oh, there ain't no holding on. Hey, whoop his ass. Whoop his ass. No, ain't no sign out. Ain't no sign out.
The man was bigger than he is, yet he still got wrecked. So the weapons that they use are very complicated and intimidating, but their firepower is low and more short range. So this is where I got inspiration from. And there's another form of pride that I've heard of recently that is also quieter, where the soul isolates itself because it worries about making itself look bad. Pride is more so thinking about what others think of you rather than trying to look good, because this is the loud form of pride. This is the quiet form of pride. So these weapons would be quieter and longer range to symbolize the quiet, reserved type of pride that avoids confrontation. This is the pride that I struggle with a lot. Laziness. Ecosystems get disrupted from lack of maintenance. Ecosystems need maintenance because the condition of the soul's mental health reflects the planet. The ecosystems need to be maintained by maintenance of the soul's mental health. If the soul has bad or good mental health, the planet and its ecosystems will reflect that. So this goes for every other sin. So these tempters will use suppressed sniper rifles to symbolize how they will avoid any kind of conflict. And I know that suppressed sniper rifles seems very similar to how the quiet, prideful tempters act, I couldn't think of anything else. Gluttony. The soul takes pleasure in indulging and consuming food. This will cause the soul's mental health itself to become poor, which will reflect on the ecosystems. Their weapons will often overconsume ammunition through high fire rates to represent the soul's overconsumption of food. And the same goes for lust, because lust I believe is similar to gluttony, but it focuses more on perverting the meaning of love, which sabotages reproduction with other souls. So their weapons will also overconsume through faster fire rates. Wrath. The soul focuses sending its tempters to other planets to cause destruction in order to teach quote-unquote lessons violently. It overconsumes resources, and ecosystems reflect the mental health of the soul. These weapons focus on doing a lot of damage up close, like sawn-off shotguns, for example. Envy. So envy is when a soul decides to pour all of its resources into copying other planets, which drains resources and reflects on the ecosystems. So their weapons are cheap knockoffs of other people's weapons, and they often don't work really well to symbolize the soul's never-ending loop of being unsatisfied. Greed. Greed is when the soul hoards raw resources and refuses to give them to other souls or planets. So this causes the planet itself to drown in its own raw resources. So imagine just drowning in a sea of gold. Their weapons have a very high ammo capacity to symbolize how the soul hoards resources. And I think I would also imagine the guns shooting very slow to try and preserve its ammunition. I've only gone through like half of this part, so I'm gonna end the video right now and make a part 2.